In the Oklahoma newsroom, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenni Carlson here with Kyle Fredrickson. Kyle, the Cowboys want to get turnovers. Every defense does, but some interesting stuff that you've been able to unearth about how these guys actually go about practicing getting turnovers. How do they do it?
Right. Well, you know, in years past, we've written about this. The Cowboys, especially during some of their long runs, the BCS run, one of the best turnover differentials in the country. Back then, Bill Young was rewarding these guys with candy bars, and that was kind of what we thought. Okay, get a turnover, get a candy bar. Good motivation. But as we really dive into how these guys prepare for games and how they prepare to make these turnovers, it's a lot more detail-oriented than you might think. A lot of it comes down to breaking down film. You know, if a receiver catches the ball over the middle, when do you go for the punch? What is the best angle to get it? If you're that second guy hitting him, how does that impact getting a turnover and approaching that? So in talking with Dan Hammerschmidt, you know, back in July at Assistant Coach Media Day, he was very thorough in that process. And it was interesting hearing his take because when the Cowboys are in practice, they're going to be batting at the ball at every play. You know, even after the whistle, they're encouraged to be that physical to promote, one, forcing turnovers, and two, for the offensive players to hold on to that ball. So there's some reciprocal things going on there. But in a lot of cases with these offensive-minded coaches, they don't like that so much. They don't like their offensive guys getting beat up in practice. So it's a dance that you have to make. But I think it's pretty clear, and talking with Coach Gundy yesterday, that's not a concern for this team. They want them to be physical. They have made more time over the past 10 years solely focused on causing turnovers. So candy bars are one thing, but when you really break it down, it's a lot more complicated.
I'd be motivated by the candy bars myself. But you mentioned Mike Gundy talking about that during his Monday press conference. He also pointed out the fact that they really haven't done it yet this year.
Right.
They start out their very first defensive snap of the season. They get an interception, but since then, no turnovers. Is there discouragement at all about that?
Oh, I mean, a little bit. If you talk to Glenn Spencer, of course there is, just because
he's discouraged about today being Tuesday.
Right. He has very high expectations. We're taking it back is the mantra this season. So, yeah, they want to have more than one turnover, of course, but when you look back at these past couple games, the Cowboys were close in a lot of these games to having them, you know, ripping the ball out right near the end of runs, kind of having that scrum to get after it. So they're not really where they want in terms of turnovers right now, but when we look at the defense as a whole, they've certainly been the most impressive aspect of this team so far, being very physical, a lot of third down stops, especially against Central Arkansas this past week. In a lot of ways, those third down stops act as turnovers in a way when you're able to get the ball back. So a lot of progress to be made for this team to get back up in that upper echelon of teams who force a lot of turnovers and tend to make some deep runs. Right. But at this point, yeah, there's still a lot to be made in that department.
Vincent Taylor told me after the game Saturday, Glenn Spencer wants them off the field on third down 65% of the time. Right. They were 2 of 15, getting two first downs out of 15 attempts on Saturday. So that's definitely above that 65% threshold, and they have to be happy about that. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.